This is my 4.5 year progression as an artist, how I stole from the artist I love to get to where I am today. It all started with Van Gogh. I hadn't really done anything artistic since I was a kid, so I started out with drawing. Then when I got more comfortable, I would take my favorite of his paintings and make my own version. At college, this was pretty much all I cared about. I was obsessed with Van Gogh, looking at his paintings and using all of my time to get into his mind, to paint and to learn. This desire made me go on a trip through France where I followed everywhere Van Gogh went, painting in the places that he painted. I felt like I was able to get into his mind, learning how he was doing it, and finding my own way. Instead of getting a job, I decided I'm gonna give this a shot. I wanna be an artist. I was using what Van Gogh had taught me, and I was going out and trying to do it for myself. Experimenting, finding my way, painting outside every single day. But with all of this effort, something was missing. So I had a couple critics look at my work. It blew my mind when they told me this was my best painting. They told me that while my other work was good, it felt like I was only using the tools from Van Gogh. They told me I needed to modernize, to get new inspiration, and that's when everything changed again. Now it wasn't just Van Gogh, it was also Matthew Wong, another artist inspired by Van Gogh, but with a 21st century language that I couldn't help but be obsessed with. The very first painting I made, I was hooked. Compared to even the best work I had been doing from life, the new work just soared. I felt free. I felt like I could do anything in my paintings. But a lot of people in the comments were critical of me, saying that I was stealing too much. I kept pushing forward, and eventually the work took a huge turn as I naturally decided to investigate what it was that I loved about Matthew Wong. Getting into his head the same way that I did with Van Gogh on my France trip. I was digesting what he was doing, creating these works of pure energy. When that phase ended, the new work came blazing forward. I felt like I had so many tools to use. But with so many tools to use, the newest work is me finding what I want to say. What I loved about Van Gogh and Wong, why I fell in love with this in the first place, why I wanted to learn these tools in the first place, why this meant anything to me, why this made so much sense to me. What about this I love so much? And I'm learning. Like Van Gogh, like Matthew Wong, all of these emotional spaces with figures in the worlds that I create, reflecting something about how I feel, something from within me. Only with everything I've learned from Van Gogh and Wong, all of the obsession, the copying, the stealing like an artist, the digesting it for myself, have I been able to reach this kind of flow state lately, where I'm saying what I want to say in my pictures. Not in anyone's voice, but in maybe a combination of voices with my own. Follow along for more and use my link to inquire about a painting. Bye guys.